Picos de Europa lie in northern Spain, just west of Bilbao. The most popular walk in the Picos is undoubtedly the Gorge. Two rivers, Rio Cares and the Rio Duhe, divide the Picos Mountains into three main areas called the Eastern, Central and Western Massifs. The Rio Cares, the River Cares, runs between the Central and the Western Massifs. In the early 20th century, Spain invested heavily in hydroelectric power plants, and this involved capturing the waters of many mountain rivers. From 1915 to 1921, the Viesgo Electricity Company worked on capturing some of the waters of the River Cares into a series of canals that would take them from the village of Caen in the south to a large power station near the village of Poncebos at the northern end of the Cares Gorge. The original plan was for a single tunnel to cover the whole length of the route, but the difficult terrain, coupled with technical problems, made this impossible. The canal which we see today appears on the surface at its southern origin, only to disappear into one of 71 tunnels along its 11-kilometre length. Each of these 71 tunnels was carved out by hand from the solid rock by workers drawn from local communities. Over 500 skilled men worked on the construction of the canal in conditions that were both difficult and dangerous. 11 men lost their lives in various accidents before the canal was finished. During the initial construction of the canal, a track was made alongside to facilitate maintenance work, but this initial track proved to be unsatisfactory. So 24 years later, in 1945, work started on a new and improved maintenance track designed to overcome the problems created by the old path. Its construction involved much difficult work using explosives to open up new sections to straighten out the route, as well as building stone walls and bridges to keep the path as level as possible. 45 local men worked on this huge project, 2 of them losing their lives in work which was again difficult and dangerous. The job was finished in 1950. The result of their labours is the magnificent track that visitors to the Cares Gorge can walk on today. It takes 3.5 to 4 hours to walk the length of the gorge. Doing it through and back from one end can therefore involve an 8-hour day, quite demanding in hot weather. Some folk choose to walk in halfway and then walk back to their starting point. For visitors based in Potes, we found the best answer was to book a ride in a 4-wheel drive taxi, which takes you across the track to a high mountain pass to join the southern end of the gorge at the village of Caen. From Caen you can walk through the gorge in the downhill direction to the village of Poncebos, where the taxi collects you and takes you back to Potes. The drive over the mountain track is a delightful journey in its own right, and we thoroughly enjoyed the ride. Near the top of the pass, we came across a flock of sheep and stopped to film this pastoral scene. As is customary in this part of the world, the sheep are prevented from straying by large guard dogs which patrol the flanks of the flock to protect them from predators. These powerful dogs protect the sheep, but are not much good at herding them. For skilled control of sheep, you need a Scottish Border Collie, and needless to say, there was one in charge of this flock. On the descent from the pass, we encountered a large group of walkers heading uphill towards an objective somewhere behind us. A little later, we arrived at the village of Cain, where we took the chance of a coffee before starting out on the walk. From Cain, you follow a well-made path which takes you across the river at this bridge, then along the right-hand bank for about half a mile to the start of the gorge. Here, a dam has been built to channel the main flow of the river into the canal that takes it to the power station. Crossing this bridge leads you across the dam and into the first of many tunnels along the route. The track is a hill walker's dream. A walk on an almost level path that takes you gently downhill through spectacular mountain scenery for 3.5 hours. Below you, from start to finish, is the River Cares. Above are the mountain tops, sometimes disappearing into the cloud base. No wonder the gorge is such a popular walk with local people. You won't find yourself alone on this route. Walkers come from all over Europe and elsewhere in the world just to enjoy the magic of this beautiful landscape. The walk does have a minor sting in its tail. Having spent 3 delightful hours ambling downhill at the gentlest possible gradient, the final section confronts you with a rise of about 200 feet before dropping you again steeply to join the road into Poncebos. Here, the waiting taxi is a very welcome sight. It means you have time for a well-earned beer before putting your feet up on the return journey back to Potes.